that campaign song is the thrust of everything that the Minerals Commission is on the agenda to achieve, to stop illegal mining as it works with its partners from the Ministry of Natural Resources to make sure that illegal mining is eliminated as much as possible. We sit with the Minerals Commission most Wednesdays to understand everything that's going on in the area of mining. Last week, we started a conversation about small-scale mining. We learned the contribution of small-scale mining to the local economy and how the local economy benefits from the activities of small-scale mining, so long as it is legal. Of course, the issue about the illegal practices still persists, and the fight is still on to stop illegal mining. CEO of the Minerals Commission, Mr. Martin Ayisi, is at the table with us once again. Mr. Ayisi, thanks for joining us. And you specifically requested this song that every time you come, we should play. So this one is a special one just for you. Yeah. We started talking about small-scale mining last week, and we'll get to that in a minute. But yesterday, we got some rather disturbing news about what's happening in Obuasi at the Anglo-Gold Ashanti mine. What we are being told by our correspondent is that the first point of disagreement between the community and the mine is the fact that, or is the suggestion that the mine is not an abandoned pit of Anglo-Gold. One side maintains that it is abandoned, and hence that's how the miners ended up there. The other side, which is the Anglo-Gold side, insists that it is not an abandoned mine and that the people were there more or less trespassing. What is the information available to you at this point?
Thelma, good morning, and then morning to our viewers. Yes, I think it's in the newspapers, or was it yesterday or 2 days ago, that 300 miners trapped underground. As usual, as regulators, our inspectors were there. We have an office in Obuasi. We also have an office in Kumasi. So they all went there. I mean, within minutes, they got there. The situation is, one, it was not 300, as was being reported.
The correspondent said it's way less.
Oh, yes. So let me say this. As at last night, everybody has come out. Everybody. Nobody died. They all came out. In all, the figures recorded by the Minerals Commission inspectors were 89. 86 were arrested and taken to the police station. Some 3 others escaped. So we're talking about 89, not 300, as was reported. To repeat, 86 arrested. They are the police station, so the law is taking its course. And then 3, for some reason, managed to escape. So that is the situation has played. So everybody has been, if you like, for want of a better word, evacuated or cleared from the place. So that is as far as the situation is concerned. You know, when anything happens, the most important thing is the life of the people. So that has been sorted out beautifully. The police were there, the military were there, our inspectors were there, and of course the Anglo-Gold staff and management. We all work together as a team to sort out the mess. That's one. 2, this is part of Obuasi's concession, so it's not an abandoned pit. I need to set the record straight. It is part of the underground concession of Obuasi. The report I got from my inspectors was that they entered through some forests. And then that's what they do. They go dig some pits, find a way. It's like the way these Mexicans take drugs and dig tunnels and cross to US. So that's what they've been doing. And they seal, they come back. But this has been sorted out. So it's not an abandoned pit. Thelma, it's all part of this illegal mining conundrum. If there's any company that we need to be overly grateful to, as far as helping us to resolve the Galamsey issue, it is the Obuasi mine. They've given about 70% of their tenements, to us, which we've given out as licenses. So they've gotten to a point where they cannot do anything again. As a nation, we cannot sit down to allow this kind of illegality to continue, where people can just get up and go underground. Anything could have happened. You went underground in Wasa and you saw the kind of equipment and machinery that has been, put in there, ventilation and all those things. Fortunately, the place they entered, the ventilation was good, and that's why nobody died. They spent hours that they didn't want to come, but eventually they've come out. And can you imagine Some went back again. I was told about some 16 people who were arrested. Some went back again, and then the security has to ask them to leave. Those who refused were arrested. So apart from the 89 that we documented, some extra 16 went back.
From the same 89
Yeah, they wanted to go back and still go and enter the place and work. I think we shouldn't allow that. It's brazenness. I don't know what is driving all this, and we will not allow that. We have a duty to protect their mind. You know what Obuasi has gone through trying times. It's the oldest commercial large-scale mine in Ghana, 1897. So that's about over 124 years it's been running. This same issue happened years back, and the mine was shut down.
What's the draw for these people? What keeps drawing them back under there?
What else can I think of than just... it's just like, I don't know how to put it, because you see, this is a mining company's concession, and you've been told not to go there, but they keep going there because they think that they can do it and get away with it.
Well, I was told when I went to Wasa that the Obuasi mine is unique in the fact that you actually see the nuggets underground. So is it what they are after?
Well,
that you can pick?
Thelma, let me answer you this way. You know, I have my funny jokes, but that is it. It's just like you are saying that I have a very beautiful wife, so you don't care whether the lady is married or not. That is what is at play here. That is somebody's concession, a very large-scale concession. For some years, the mine was dead. Government worked around the clock to bring life back. Last year, they did about 340,000 ounces. This year, they are on the verge of doing about 370. Even multiplied by an average price of $1,800 an ounce. You can see the whole town is back, and life is kind of back in Obuasi. We cannot sit down as a nation and allow people to perpetuate illegality and get away with it. This is not about poverty. This is not about unemployment. There are other areas in Ghana where we're giving out blocks for small-scale miners to mine. But you cannot get up and say, let me use this account word. Maybe you have to say it in Ghana too. Like whatever the case, damn the consequences, we have to go and work here. Do you understand that? So we cannot allow that. To the extent that in spite of what happened yesterday, some people still want to go back and enter through unapproved routes.
How was
so the only thing is,
they
go through some forests and some areas, you know. That is it. And the only thing is that we just have to strengthen the security and then support them with more security, and then they beef the place up.
And now those who have been arrested are facing certain charges.
Well, they have to go to due process. The police will have to look at the situation, take them through the due process. That is it. Because you see, when, very soon we'll start discussing the causes of illegal mining. When they keep getting out with this kind of behavior, it will keep occurring. You understand? Yes. So sometimes we shouldn't shut our door to these kind of things. I mean, people should not be allowed to do these things. We cannot allow that as a nation.
Let's dwell on the abandoned mine for a minute.
It's not an abandoned mine.
If you've told us that
it's not an abandoned mine, it's part of the concession of what we call Angogo Ashanti Obuasi.
Was it in use at the time?
No, it's not abandoned. You know, when you give a lease to a company, you mine over the years. I mean, if you give a lease to a mining company for, let's say, 20 years or 30 years, you don't mine in a day. You mine in stages, okay? So it's part of their concession where they'll move there very soon. So I want the public to disabuse their mind of this notion that it was abandoned. If it was abandoned, we will know. Because you see, a mining company cannot get up and abandon a place without the approval of the Chief Inspector of Mines. You have to tell us that you want to what? We don't even use the word abandon, because you see, you need to decommission it properly and then give the place back to government. So if it's something that they had done, we will know and we'll be the first people to say, oh, hallelujah, let's give it to the small-scale miners. So it is not an abandoned place. It's not an abandoned pit. It is part of Obuasi's concession. They're going to work there, and we shouldn't sit there and allow people to go there and work. When that thing, they've spent billions of dollars to bring life back to this mine. So we'll not allow it.
Last week we talked about small-scale mining. And if these persons had used legitimate means to acquire the land, which you've told us about 70% of the tenements have been given to the Minerals Commission and its partners to also give out to small-scale miners, then it would have been legal. But there is a thin line between legal and illegal, and there's an even, a more stark line between clean rivers and clean water. The rivers are looking like this because of illegal mining. River Pra is like this because of illegal mining. When do we say an activity of mining has become illegal? We see the effects, but where do we draw the line?
Tema, thank you very much. Tema, when we say a mining activity or operation is illegal, in a very simple language or simple term, it simply means that that person, that entity, that company, howsoever described, who was conducting that activity or that operation, one, has not been permitted under the law to do that. That's what it means. It's illegal. You've not been permitted. It's like you buy a land. Yes, you own the land. Everybody knows you bought it from the chief or somebody. But before you erect a structure, you got to go for a building permit. So when you start any structure, okay, you don't have the requisite permit, it's illegal construction, and then the assemblies will come and pull it down. So once you don't have all the authorizations and approvals to work, whatever activity you conduct is illegal. So the question is, what do you need to work properly under the mining laws of Ghana? First, and I'm speaking general because you see, one thing I was clear this morning is the difference between illegal mining and small scale. We always lump them together. So I need to clearly, clarify that.
That small scale mining is not always illegal.
It is not illegal mining. I'll come to that. So what does it take for one to conduct a mining operation or activities lawfully? You will need to go to Minerals Commission and then acquire, and then through a recommendation to a minister, you get a mineral right. That's the license they normally talk about. So let me use the word license so that people understand it. You get a license, and then you can go to EPA for the environmental permit. Then you come back to the Chief Inspector of Mines for what we call the operating permit. So for anybody to conduct an activity by way of mining, whether on a small scale or on a large scale, you need 3 approvals or authorizations. The license signed by the minister acting on the recommendation of the Minerals Commission. You need an environmental permit from the EPA, and then you need what we call the operating permit that allows you to go to the ground. We will discuss how licenses are acquired in other segments later on. Now, if you don't have any of these approvals, or you don't have the permission of the Minerals Commission, okay, anything that you do is illegal. So even if you have the license, you have EPA, you don't have the operating permit from the Chief Inspector of Mines, you have 2 out of 1, that is illegal. If you have the license, you don't have the operating permit, you don't have EPA, that is illegal. You must have all the 3 in place. Or Minerals Commission has a special arrangement of allowing you to work under some special circumstances. So unless you have these approvals or authorizations, or Minerals Commission has allowed you to go and work, any other thing that you do amounts to illegal mining. Now, it doesn't discriminate between large scale and small scale. So if you have a prospecting license, you've not obtained your EPA, and you go to the ground and start doing exploration, you are doing illegal mining. If you're a large scale and you don't have all your approvals, you are engaged in illegal mining. Even if you're a large scale person or entity, you have your license, it's even ratified by Parliament, you have EPA, you have operating permit. Even your setup to put structures on the land, you still need a Chief Inspector of Mines to certify you. So you go through a whole lot of process. But what we have seen over the years is a tendency for people to think that anything illegal is associated with small scale. So now let me come to the earlier question you raised. Now, you can either do mining lawfully on a large scale or on a small scale. There's a difference between lawful small scale mining and galamsey. Galamsey, which we have come to accept, is nothing but simply illegal mining on a small scale. Because I'm saying the large scale people also get into illegality. So let us distinguish between somebody who has been given a license to work lawfully. Like if you go to Bongo Soin, those who are organizing a community mining there, they have all the small scale licenses and the permits to work lawfully. So that's a lawful small scale operation. That is one. They are not doing galamsey. So I want you to understand that. So galamsey is simply you don't have what it takes to work. So these 89 people that were eventually rescued yesterday, who entered one of the underground areas of Obuasi mine, what they were doing, is basically illegal mine. They were involved in galamsey. They don't have the permit. They don't have the authority. They were not even permitted by anybody. Even where a mining company wants to allow small-scale miners to come away, they still have to get the approval from the Minerals Commission to do that. So that is that. Simple. Illegal mining. So close your mind to large scale, close your mind to small scale. So in other words, whether it is a large scale operation or a small scale, whether it's for exploration, whatever activity, I'm saying once you don't have the requisite approvals to repeat the license or mineral rights, the EPA permit, and the operating permit, or unless Minerals Commission permits you, it's an illegal activity. So for example, the other day a chief approached us. He says he wants to build his palace. So he needs the son to build his palace. He is not looking for a mineral right to go and sell. But because sand is a mineral, he will need our approval to be able to win some quantity of sand to construct his palace. We send our inspectors there, they did the inspection, and then the chief inspector of mines will give me that special permit that, look, you are allowed under the supervision of the district inspector of Minerals Commission to take this quantity of sand here for your palace. After that, you reclaim the place.
So it's not just gold.
That
it's
kind of
it's other things
every
as well.
mineral.
Apart from the precious minerals, there's the sand winning and all.
You have the
all
rock aggregates. You have the rock aggregates, etc. Anything. So what we'll do is that once we exhaust the discussion, because you see, once we discuss the causes of illegal mining, and then we focus on what government is doing to curb or stop illegal mining, we will come to the various types of minerals we have in Ghana. What constitutes a mineral? What do we have? And then the processes you go through to get a mineral, either on a large scale or small scale.
Let's talk about the causes and the implications.
All right, Tema, I'll discuss some of them, and then if we're not able to finish, we can continue next week. Most people don't know, but let me start this way. One of the major causes or driving force behind illegal mining that you see all over the place is the difficulty in getting mineralized areas for the miners or would-be miners to work. Let me explain again and put it in perspective. You see, Tema, you don't just get up and start mining. The large-scale people, they apply for an exploration right or a prospecting license, do the exploration over the years, identify a reserve, and then apply for a mining license, and then go through the other permitting process and then start mining. Now, small scale, there's nothing like prospecting. So what they do is that they just get up, whether by intuition or whatever, and then they start digging around. So they can keep digging. If they hit what they call the vein or the rock, then you see the numbers coming in, and then they start working. Some, fortunately, will say we want to apply for a license. If the place is not available, then that's when they do it illegally. Sometimes they check. If it's not available, they do it illegally. That's what they do. Or they go to the water body, try to divert the water, and then scoop the bed and process. That is what they do. Now, since small scale was formally permitted in 1989, you remember that's a history we gave. That's about 34 years ago. What we have failed as a nation to do within the last 34 years is that we did not, as a nation, put in money. You see, we were in a hurry to legalize them because Ghana's gold was being smuggled to Togo. But then since 1989, we should have been, as a nation, taking some money every year and then give it to Geological Survey. Fortunately, they have that technology. They have what it takes. They have the capability to do it. Geological Survey, we should have been giving them some money every year to do geological investigation of all these several kilometers of areas that we've designated or blocked out for small scale. But we've not done that for over 34 years. That's how come when this thing started in 4 or 5 regions, and now we are doing it in 12, 13 regions, we're getting overwhelmed. But then when we start discussing the intervention, you can see that now government has started. So the first challenge is that it is not easy to get mineralized areas for them to work. So maybe you would like to ask, then what is the situation? What is the state of play? all the areas that the large-scale miners give us, they surrender, because you see the large-scale miners, they want a certain quantity. So thankfully what they do is that if they explore over a period, it comes with a report, geological report, they give it back to Minerals Commission, and then we designate them as blocks and give it out to them. That's what we are doing. So that's number one. Number two, some licenses expire and the people don't renew, large scale. So we block and designate small scale, we give it out. And then the small scale themselves also voluntarily go around, get some coordinates, bring it, we check the cadastre. If it's free, we process for them. So for now, that is how we're managing the small scale issue. But in the medium to long term, every year we need to get like millions of dollars. You don't need all the $40-50 million, in just a year. $1 million to $3 million can be given the geological survey to start working. So if we want to deal with this menace, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, we will need to seriously invest in geological investigation. If we don't do that, we'll come back to square one. And I'm saying government has started. I'll discuss more next week. So that's the first course.
So next week we'll do the government interventions. But
I need to finish the courses, because I've just discussed only one driving force of Galamsey.
Okay.
The difficulty in getting a place for them. Then another cause is that, yes, the sanctions are punitive. Minimum 15 years, maximum 25 years. There's no option of a fine. So, for example, if these people are processed, the possibility that all of them can be jailed, it's very high. That is it. If they go to the process, they may end up not less than 15 years, unless maybe they are cautioned, they sign a board not to do it again or whatever. But it's not for me to decide. The courts and then the police that are doing the prosecution will do it. Now, how does that tie into illegal mining? You see, when persons are arrested and are not punished, or the society does not, see that they are being punished, and then they come back or they are let loose, it gives them that, brazen, that attitude to still go back. So those political actors, those chiefs, and all kinds of persons who are involved, they live in a community, we know them. Once they are arrested, and then they get away with it. So that's why the Odan case we are following up. Those Yemenis we talked about and those chiefs that were involved. Now we need to make sure that they go through the full process. I'm not here to pronounce judgment. As a lawyer, I'm very careful so that I will not be charged for contempt. But I'm saying we are not seeing people being punished. So then for the community, for persons in those illegal mining areas, it means that, you can get away with it. But when we start seeing people going to jail, people are being punished, then the community, the individuals who are involved, etc., will be what? People will now make sure, these days when they get you go to jail. If that's how you want to end up, so be it. Then another issue is this. Tema, this is very important, and I want to make this clear. You see, those guys who are normally sent to go to the Galamsey site and work for their daily bread, they cannot ordinarily buy an excavator. A brand new excavator is over $200,000. That ordinary guy in Dunkwa, Prestia, Obuasi, Diaso and Co. cannot afford it. So clearly it tells you that some powerful person, rich man or person is behind. So one other cause is that unless we deal with the sponsors, we will keep arresting these, if you like, these people who want to eke out a living. And then the sponsors will keep bringing in more people and keep giving them more money.
But you hear the reports of the names flying around of who some of these people are. Do you think there's a willingness to deal with it, considering if it is found to be true that these people are very wealthy enough?
A few have been arrested, they are being prosecuted. For want of a better word, Aisha one is one. So she's going through the process. So we are waiting to see how things will pan out. I think she has even admitted on one of the charges. So let's leave the court process to deal with it. So maybe when we see more of that, and then people now see that people are being put in jail, people are being punished, then they'll be a bit cautious. You might not, perhaps, look, when you even make stealing death penalty, you still have a few or two who might even still get involved, because it's not easy for people to change their attitude. But at least you should be able to bring it to a barest minimum.
All right. So I have three causes: difficulty in getting the mineralized areas, the sanctions, which should be very punitive, and the need to deal with
the sanctions which are punitive. We should begin to see them biting.
Right, and then we should deal with the sponsors as well.
We should also deal with the sponsors, and then one more thing I also need to know.
The last one before you.
There's money in it. That is it. So folks in the rural areas or many of the mining areas that are,
money is a big motivator.
Yes, this is it's kind of an alloy. Okay, 12, 13 regions, and then maybe he farms. I'm not saying that. I'm discussing what is driving the Galamsey menace, and I need to set the record straight and then put out the facts as it is. At the end of the day, what Ghanaians want to know is that, so what are you doing to deal with it? There's a lot of money in it. That is also a motivating factor. And anything that involves money, you expect people to go and do it. But then we will need to deal with it. I'll discuss more next week.
Mr. Ayisi, thank you for making the time. So last week we talked about what actual small-scale mining was and its contributions to the economy. This week we've started a conversation about illegal mining. Today we've heard about some of the causes and why we are seeing the problems the way we see them. Why are our water bodies like this? Mr. Ayisi will be trying to tell us what the government has done so far by way of intervention to ensure that we get from this color water or these types of water to this situation, and we'll have him here again next week to continue the discussion. CEO of the Minerals Commission, Mr. Martin Kokoris, thank you so much for making the time. You can watch this interview on the Minerals Commission social media handles at Minerals Commission on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also on Instagram, and you should follow their handles as well. Follow GTV Ghana across our social media platforms. We are on a campaign to get 1 million followers by December. You can help us make that happen. Galamsey, very topical. We'll be back next week to continue the conversation, and Mr. Ayisi will help us understand what the interventions are and if they are working. We'll be back next week to do that. In our next conversation,